Well, this is Eric Smith, your host of the Entrepreneur's Voice Show. I'd like to welcome you to another episode. Today I've got an interesting question and a topic that we're going to be talking about that you want to definitely share with friends and family and anyone you love and care about. Did you know, or have you ever considered that these 10, most of us have 10 of these, they're called fingernails, and that all of us have a tongue? Did you know that these 10 fingernails and your tongue could hold the key to your life's longevity? I didn't know that until I sat down with our guest today, and I want to introduce you our wonderful guest. I'm actually a guest because I'm sitting in her home office. This is world-renowned natural health remedy, a specialist in making you feel healthy, Miss Jan Fowler. Jan, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Great.
You know, it wasn't until you told me you wanted to talk about this topic of fingernails and tongue analysis. At first I was like, fingernails and tongue analysis? We're going to be talking about this. Yes, we're going to talk about your fingernails, we're going to talk about your tongue today. But you're an expert in this, correct? I mean, you are certified.
Yes.
To explain that for me, please.
Yes, well, I've been studying with the doctor for about 15 years, Dr. Chi.
Dr. Chi. I was about to say, what doctor is this?
Yes. And he designed and developed and created the art of fingernail and tongue analysis through his teachings and through the teachings of his parents. And I was very fortunate to have met him, and we've become very good friends, and I've been personally studying with him now for 15 years. And through that first meeting, we've been able to help an awful lot of people through his teachings.
Wow. I mean, the art of fingernail and tongue analysis, I want to get into this because obviously there are some major themes. I mean, I've got a list here that you provided me that I'm just looking over that's just really blowing my mind away. Before we dive into that, we want our listeners and audience to understand, first of all, more about you. Tell me a little bit, what got you started in this area of natural studies and holistic studies and so forth? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's pretty much been a lifelong study for me. I really enjoy reading about the human body and natural ways of making the body feel better that are non-toxic. And so that has been a study I started probably 20 years ago. Supplements, holistic therapies, food healing, and weight loss issues. So we have, I have a whole library of books. I study every day. There's so many wonderful teachers out there, doctors with newsletters, and I subscribe to many different training modules. And so I began that study and just purely as a hobbyist, not really to help people, just because I enjoyed it. Well, then the word started getting around, and I started being able to help some of my friends and family. And then one day the phone rang, and my doctor called, and he said, "Jan, I'm getting ready to get on a plane for a medical conference, and I've got a really nasty cold. What should I take?" So this was probably back in the early 2000s, and I hung up. I said, "Oh my gosh, the doctors are calling me, asking me what to take now." I thought that was a very cool thing. He really didn't have anything to help him, and I sent him to the health food store and told him what to buy to ease his cold symptoms. So that was a turning point for me. And then shortly thereafter, I met Dr. Chi, and it was all over after that.
that would be exciting for your personal doctor to give you a call, because normally we're used to calling them. But that tells me that there are lots of medical professionals who are open to the idea, who really take their oath as being a doctor serious because they really want to help people, that says that they're open to other alternatives than traditional medicine.
Yes.
You know, I worked with my personal doctor back in Oklahoma before I moved to Florida. I helped produce her wellness show. And we got started because of a conversation we had sitting in her patient room. She told me a medication you're taking has a statin that causes obesity. And that opened up a whole new way of thinking because she wants her patients off medicine. So it sounds to me like you've fallen into a world of doctors that really want to help people.
Yes.
So I want to dive into some of these tips because I could tell you have, I mean, folks, I got to talk to her prior to us doing this interview. And thankfully, we did a couple of analyses on my stuff. And I'm okay. At first I was a little scared, but I have a good report that I don't have heart disease. Because that's one of the things you said you can identify with.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about that, and please
Okay.
feel free to just share a few more tips that people need to understand with
Okay.
your fingernail and our tongue analysis.
Yes, okay. A very, very common issue. You can see if you have heart disease by looking at your earlobes. If there is a diagonal crease on the earlobe, that is an indicator of heart disease. That's old science. That's been around for a while now. In fact, there are several emergency room doctors that I have known of who, when a patient comes into the emergency room with heart attack symptoms, one of the first things they do is check the earlobes. So a diagonal crease in the earlobe is an indicator of possible heart disease.
Wow. Okay, mark that down. By the way, you may want to get a pen and pad as you're listening to this because she's going to rattle off a few more tips that will just blow your mind away. So get ready.
Thank you, Eric. You can see if someone has diabetes by looking at the back of the neck. The back of the neck. Most people have smooth skin on the back of the neck, but if someone has diabetes, many times you will see horizontal wrinkling along the back of the neck. I've seen this many times, not just in adults, but also in children that have juvenile diabetes. So there are little crinkly wrinkles in the back of the neck as an indicator of diabetes, potentially. Next is a wide brown band in the fingernail that goes from the cuticle out to the tip. A wide brown band could be an indicator, and many times is an indicator of melanoma. Unfortunately, many people don't realize that they have skin cancer until something serious happens because it can be hidden in the part of your body that you don't see every day, on your back, for example, on the hairline.
Well,
So-
you know, I like what you said there because if we can't see certain parts of our body and if we're not thinking that we need to inspect ourselves, this is something real easy we could take a look at. We see this every single day.
Yes.
And so as we get used to, and I am encouraging you to subscribe to the newsletter, click on the link below and get on the newsletter because you'll be having more quick tips and different things coming out so that you can daily take a look at yourself and just do some quick checkups.
And on the other side too, if you see something that's unusual in your fingernails or your tongue, we should be checking, or in any bodily skin condition, then that could be an indicator of some imbalance in some capacity.
Okay. Got a couple more tips maybe?
Well, yeah, everybody should get skin checks from a dermatologist, at least once a year, once every 2 years, because you can have a melanoma spot in between the toes, for example. So melanoma is fairly prevalent, and other skin cancers, so people should get checked. Okay, I don't really like to talk about urine, but I'm going to. If you look down and your urine is foamy, that is an indicator of possible kidney function problems. Your kidneys are no longer processing protein the way they should. Now, one time is not anything to be alarmed about, but if it is an ongoing, say over a 2-week period, the urine appears to be very foamy, you should really get checked, get your kidney function checked. Looking down in the bowl. Very important. I've had some clients who have experienced kidney dialysis, and it's something that we don't want to do. It's a very painful and very much an ongoing.
I had a family member that had to go through that, and for them it was so exhausting. And they just, they were dealing with bone marrow cancer at the same time with kidney failure and so forth. So you're absolutely right. It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please check these tips out before it gets to those points.
But again, there's no need to be alarmed unless it is an ongoing issue, say every day for about 2 weeks. Then you know that there's an issue. Call your doctor and get a blood test and see what's going on.
That's a great tip. Thank you. Keep going.
This is really important. Many people wonder, what are those strawberry colored raised dots on my torso? Many times when we start getting a little older, we might notice that we have these raised strawberry colored dots on the torso. And that is a sign of estrogen dominance. Now, many people have estrogen dominance today because of what I mentioned earlier. Our food supply has been adulterated, and when we have hormones in the beef and chicken, and we have BPA in the linings of the cans and in baby bottles, for gosh sake. BPA is an environmental toxin. Bisphenol A, invented in 1897 to make chickens fatter for the market. Well, now it is being used in our food supply, and it's very prevalent. Plastics in the food supply. A plastic water bottle that gets overheated. For example, never put a water bottle out in the car all day in the summer and then come out after work and drink that water, because that plastic has leached into the water. And that's very important to avoid that.
Well, and plastics are made petroleum based, so
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's huge.
The end result of all these environmental toxins is they are called estrogen mimicking compounds. And they can result in an estrogen dominant situation in our body. The first sign of that is our cherry angiomas on the torso. And if not dealt with, they're going to spread throughout the body. The problem with estrogen dominance is it is now common knowledge that the hormonal cancers that are so prevalent today many times are caused by estrogen dominance. And I'm talking about breast cancer, prostate cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer. Even sometimes strokes and aneurysms are being caused sometimes by an estrogen dominant situation. So we want to be aware of that. And
So let me ask you real quick, because typically when I hear the word estrogen, and most people, we commonly think that that's a woman thing. Are we finding that that is not just
yes, that's correct.
linked to women?
Yes.
Or can men have this issue as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, estrogen is a natural occurring hormone for reproductive means. However, men, women, and children do have estrogen in their bodies. And estrogen dominance is very prevalent in men, women, and now children. Premature puberty, we're seeing that quite a lot. Many times that is a mechanism of estrogen dominance in children.
I mean, I was talking to a business professional the other day, and it was a professional conversation, but unfortunately we see development of young children today that look like, and young girls, they look like women.
Yes.
And that's, wow. So that could be part of what you're referencing there. Wow.
Absolutely. We need to be very careful about what we feed our children. And, hormones are not only, added hormones are not only in the chicken and the beef, but also in milk. And we've got to be very careful what we feed our children. I'm very concerned about where these children are going to be in 50 years. Are they going to be experiencing some of these ailments? It's a very important thing for parents to be aware of.
So when folks are listening and watching this video, maybe doing some analysis, they want to contact you, because I think you are a very resourceful and knowledgeable person, especially with the training and background that you've done. To me, it seems like you are on a mission.
Yes.
Can you just tell us a bit about what that personal mission is that you have?
I have a very compassionate heart. I always have. But the bottom line is I want to help people feel better. And that is kind of what drives me on a daily basis. And we spend a lot of time with people and try to help as much as possible. We have developed a website, and Dr. Chi, my mentor, we are, on our website, we have 50 different herbal formulations that he has developed. And our most important one is a product for estrogen dominance. So if anyone wants any further information, our website is here. And
yeah, just click on the link below to take you to the website, but it's chi-analysis. It's just right there, chi-analysis.com. Go to the website, take a look at some of these products that they have. They're amazing products. We have a few products here on the table. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
This is the Myelman product, which is for estrogen dominance. And then we have Liver Chi, which is for a sluggish liver, fatty liver, liver cirrhosis. And this is Vein Light, which is our cardiovascular remedy for heart disease and primarily heart disease and cardiovascular issues.
Okay.
But our main focus is to educate and help people learn. Your body will talk to you if you know what to look for.
I like that. And this is what you're basically saying with this fingernail and tongue analysis is look at your body. Your body is telling you, help, help me, you're killing me. Right? I
Yes.
mean, it's telling you the signs. And interesting, I appreciate you looking at some things, and you gave me a few tips that my doctor has been telling me the same thing. And I didn't tell you anything, and you looked and you said, hey, you may want to consider getting this fixed. And I responded, wow, that's amazing, because me and my doctor just had this conversation. So this lady knows what she's talking about, folks, and I would encourage you to click on the link. If you know someone that's struggling health-wise, that just isn't feeling optimal, at least have a consultation, get a few things checked out.
And we certainly send people back to their doctors. I am not a doctor, and I'm not a licensed healthcare practitioner, and because of that, I can't legally diagnose any ailments. However, my role and my mission here is to educate people on how they can look at their own fingernails, their own tongue, their own skin, and see if there is any imbalance that they should go to their doctor and get more testing done. That's really my mission here. So,
Because you got this training from a board certified doctor to look at this stuff and diagnose these things. So you basically are passing on training and sharing information you've learned. But it's like you say, go to your doctor and get things
absolutely
validated.
And Dr. Chi is a PhD naturopath.
Awesome. I mean, that's a person that truly studies the body and just helps you with the natural way we were created. I would love for you, do you have one last tip that you may think of that you want to share? Because I know you have a lot. I want you to go to the website, check this out, order some product if you feel like it's something that can help someone you love. But I love these tips, so I enjoy hearing them. Any last ones?
There is one that's very important, and that is many times people have internal bleeding and don't know it. An indicator of internal bleeding is a thin black line on the fingernail that starts many times at the cuticle and goes to the tip. And that's a sign of internal bleeding. And many times people don't know they have it until there's some serious problem. They end up in the hospital. And I'll go one step further.
Sure.
If the black line is close to the cuticle going out towards the tip, that is a more deep down internal bleeding.